Hello Internet, this is Irina, the Siberian who's gone international. This is going to be a special video about Red Bull Terriers, and because of that I'm wearing my special socks with Bull Terriers, and they're red. What a coincidence. Okay, I'm gonna send this lady to sleep and let's begin. I wanted a dog for over 2 years, and one of the factors which was stopping me was the worry that I will not be able to travel as much if I will have a dog. But life was passing by and I still didn't have a dog. But then I thought that if you try, you can have it all. You can have both the dogs and the travels in your life. You just have to pay a bit extra, but the joy of having a dog is definitely worth it. This January I decided to try to relocate to Canary Islands for 4 months because it's the first time in my life when I'm not chained to the office, and it might be once in a lifetime opportunity to try to live in a place which you really enjoy. When I was picking a breed, I had this in mind that ideally I wanted my dog to be able to travel with me in the cabin if I will decide to fly with it one day. But the rules that most airlines have nowadays is that the pet is only allowed into the cabin with you only if the pet plus the container together weigh up to 8 kilos. And I mean, what dog is gonna weigh less than 6 kilos? Some Chihuahua or some lap dog, and I don't really like them. Sorry, the owners of Chihuahuas and all other dog breeds which are smaller than my cat. And I was in love with mini Bull Terriers for a very long time, since I got a chance to live with one for a few weeks, and there was just no competition. I had to get a mini Bull Terrier, and here we go. Okay, now starts the complaining section. I just do not get the point of these restrictions. First of all, the weight limit. 8 kilos is ridiculous. I say it's really small, as you can see, but she has a lot of muscles, and this is why now she weighs 11 kilos, even though her size is really small, and she actually looks bigger on camera and pictures. In real life, she is tiny. I think this weight limit should definitely be increased. Not even every cat can meet those requirements. Also, even if you have a tiny pet which you're allowed to take into the cabin, it has to be in the container, like in a cage. Which I also don't really get, why it cannot just sit on its owner's laps, like this. I'm sure a lot of people will say because of the safety reasons, but infants sit on their parents' laps all the time and nobody's concerned about that. So if it's okay with infants, why can't it be okay with small dogs and cats like this? And I mean, if they're leash and if they have the muzzle and if they behave, what is the problem? If the concern is that they will take too much space, which they obviously don't, then why not allow the owners to just buy a separate seat for their dog? I mean, if the airline is scared that their seat is gonna get dirty, you can always use a cover. I mean, there are ways to make it work and keep everyone happy. If the concern are the allergies, then just arrange the seating for the pet owners in the back of the cabin. This is how it's done in the buses, because on many buses which go from one city to another, you're allowed to take your pet with you, but I've seen that people are asked to sit in the back because of how air flows. So if you sit in the back, you do get the air from the front, but if you sit in the front, you do not get the air from the back. So if you put allergic people in front and people with pets in the back, everyone is gonna be happy. If the concern is barking, well, there is so many other noises on the plane. People are snoring, kids are screaming, people talk way more loudly than they're supposed to. I mean, it would be just one more noise, and most of the dogs, they do behave nicely. Most of the dogs do not bark for no reason, and when the owner is with them, they're usually able to calm them down. And then, even if, despite everything I just said, you're still against having pets in the cabin, then at least give the owner the opportunity to travel together with them, but in that section of the plane where you store the poor animals who are carried as a cargo. I honestly would rather sit in some uncomfortable chair somewhere in the baggage area, but be able to control what's happening to my dog, that she's not scared, that she's traveling okay, and I'm pretty sure that I would have a great company there with other dog owners. Don't know if you've heard about this, but a couple of years ago there was a funny incident in Russia. A guy wanted to travel with his chubby, adorable cat, and the cat did not meet the requirements. Aeroflot is the main Russian airline. They also have this stupid restriction that the animal plus the container must not exceed 8 kilos. So what the guy did, he brought some other cat to the airport, used that cat for the check-in procedure, and then released that cat. I mean, his friend like picked that cat up and brought the cat back home, and then he put his own cat into this container and then traveled with the cat, and he shared this on social media and published this picture and this picture of the cat named Victor traveling in the cabin like he deserves to. This went viral, at least in the Russian internet. I'm not sure if it got international attention, probably not. Are you eating a leaf? Don't eat a leaf. The airline company was outraged. They stripped him of all the miles that he earned, maybe even banned him from traveling or something, but internet totally took the guy's side, and there was this hashtag "bro is not the baggage," which again went viral. And even though Airflot still stuck to their stupid rules, this hashtag and this reaction of social media actually made a tiny change. One of the Russian airlines, S7, the company from my home city Novosibirsk, they made the restrictions slightly less strict, so now it's up to 10 kilos, the animal plus the container. Still not enough for me to take Asa into the cabin, but at least it's something. If one of my videos ever goes viral, I hope it's gonna be this one, and I hope that we can make the hashtag "bro is not the baggage" viral again, and maybe it will push at least some airlines to be more pet friendly and to make their policies a bit less strict. And now I'm going to tell about my ridiculous experience, which I'm going through right now. Well, I totally gave up on the idea to have her in the cabin, and since I want to go for a very long time, I have to take her with me. So I thought that, well, she's bigger than 8 kilos, but she's still quite a small dog, so at least she can still travel as an excess baggage. You're not a baggage, but anyway. As an excess baggage in the same plane. Really big dogs have to be transported as a cargo, and that's a whole different horrible story. So I was like, well, I have to do what needs to be done, because the only alternative option I have is to become diabetic and train her to be a diabetic alert dog, and then she would be allowed to travel with me in the cabin. That's a bit complicated and will take too much time. I'm still considering this, but I mean, I need to go in like within a month. So this target is a bit unachievable. Anyway, I went online, found good tickets. Good meaning that there's just one stopover and the whole trip does not last very long, so it wouldn't be too horrible for her. And you know, I didn't buy the tickets through the search engine. I actually went to KLM website and bought them directly from them, in order not to have to deal with any third parties when I will be asking them to take my dog. I did my research beforehand. I read everything there was on KLM's page about their pet policies. And it said that all you have to do in order to take your pet with you is to purchase the flight and then enter the booking number into my trip section and then just add this pet of yours. And so I did. I purchased the tickets, I entered my reservation number into my trip section, and they tell me you cannot do it online because this flight is not operated only by KLM but also by some of their partners. And this is where the nightmare begins. So I call. Reaching them is a nightmare these days because everyone is cancelling and changing their flights because of, you know, the situation we have with the virus nowadays. So sometimes you have to just hang on the line for 40 minutes before they even respond. When they respond, they don't help much. I had already like 7 conversations with them. In general, it's still not resolved, but let me tell you how it goes. So I called them and I'm like, well, I made a reservation with you and I want to take my dog with me. What should I do? Can you just add her to my reservation? and they say that, well, we need to send the request which needs to be confirmed, and this request needs to be sent, we can only confirm it with KLM, but those other two airlines that you're gonna fly with, you have to call them yourself and ask for their confirmation yourself. Which is so weird, because you know, like, KLM is the company which provides me with the service. It shouldn't be really my business who do they use as their partner. I think that they should be communicating with their partner, but they don't think so apparently. So I was like, okay, could you please leave the request and let me know how it goes. I called back the next day, and they say that the KLM section of the trip is okay, but I still need to call those two other airlines to check if they're okay with taking my dog on board. And I'm like, okay, one of their partners is Transavia. I called them, and it just... I spoke to one of the rudest customer service representatives I've ever dealt with. She basically told me, no, we will not take your dog. KLM should know that we never take their dogs. And when I'm like, why? Because I saw on your website that you do take pets in general. And her explanation was weird. She said that there is no way to charge me for this pet. And I'm like, well, I could either pay you directly, I could go to your website and pay there, I could pay at the airport, or you know, you're splitting the fee for the ticket with KLM, you're splitting the fee for the check-in luggage with KLM. Why it doesn't work the same way with the dog? And she hung up on me. Transavia, great customer service, way to go! So, in order to save you time and money that you would waste hanging on the line trying to reach Transavia's customer service, if you are ever in the same situation as me, they will not take your pet, they will tell you to fuck off, and they will hang up on you. Luckily, Transavia is not the only partner they're working with. There is also this Air Europa. Air Europa is a bit of a mystery to me. I'm still waiting. It's difficult to reach them. I did reach them once. It was like 11 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday, and they picked up. But usually when you call them, they just say, our lines are too busy, we cannot answer your call right now, please call us later. So you don't even have the option of waiting for 2 hours for them to pick up the phone. But that single time when I managed to reach them, the woman on the phone, who actually was kind of nice and made sense, she told me that I need to ask them through KLM, which in my opinion totally makes sense, because I'm dealing with KLM. KLM is dealing with their partners. KLM should be talking to their partners, not me. Anyway, so this is what she told me, that KLM should send them a request, and there's a special department which handles such requests, and they will be able to either confirm or deny. And ever since then, I've been trying to call KLM and convince them to do that. One of the KLM agents actually did that, and now it's been already more than 3 days that I'm calling them back every day, checking the status of that request. Yeah, you have to call yourself and follow up yourself and wait on the line, in the line for at least 10 minutes. That's the minimum. Once I waited for 40. So I've been calling for 3 days in a row. Every day they're telling me that there is no update. When I try to reach Air Europa, I cannot reach them because their lines are busy all the time. So enjoyable. Well, I don't know what's gonna happen. I guess you will see it from my channel later. Luckily, if it turns out that Air Europa cannot take the dog either, then my flights will be cancelled, and luckily I will get the money back. But I think that it's gonna work this time only because they have these flexible cancellation policies because of the virus. If we weren't in this situation, then probably they would just tell me that we cannot take your dog and we're not gonna return you the money because, well, you still can go. There's nothing wrong with your reservation. It's just you have to leave your dog alone for 4 months. What are your thoughts? Why airline companies make it so complicated? I mean, planes are basically just flying buses by now. People move a lot, people travel a lot, people relocate a lot, and a huge percent of people do have pets. Why do pet owners have to go through this heartbreaking process of leaving your pet in some cargo area of the plane, leaving it alone, not knowing what's happening to him or her, while it seems to be totally possible to just have them in the cabin with you. I think at least the weight limit should be increased, and at least the medium-sized dogs should be allowed in the cabin, something like below 20 kilos. I think the only country which has the friendliest policies for pet travels is the US. I read online that it's kind of easy to get this paper from the doctor that your dog is your psychological support dog, and then you're allowed to bring your dog into the cabin and you don't even have to put it into a container, which is great. I wish we had that in Europe. I would get that paper, because I would get really psychologically sad and depressed if I knew that my poor dog is traveling in a cage in some cargo section of the plane. But I've read about it and it's not a thing in Europe at all. Even KLM, they would allow your dog to be in the cabin on the transatlantic flight to the US, but if you have another leg which is within Europe, then no. Let me know if you agree with what I say, if you disagree, why do you disagree? If you agree, then let's spread the hashtag #BroIsNotTheBaggage, and maybe we will be able to make a change. Thank you for watching. If you like this rant, subscribe to this channel. I rant a lot. Here is the rant about how I got robbed. Here is the rant about how my apartment got destroyed. Here is the rant about obnoxious parents on the plane that I've met once. And there is much more to come. Stay tuned. I will see you in my next one. Bye!